So people keep asking me to explain Andrew Tate or my feelings on the man and what I think about him. So I'm going to try to be as clear as I can. I think he says a lot of things that are sadly true. He's sticking up for a group of people. He's sticking up for an entire sex of people, men, who have been marginalized, who have been disrespected, who have been treated poorly. Now, I know that's an unpopular thing because we're supposed to be responsible for an oppressive, horrible patriarchy. But the truth is, that's only true of a very few number of men. The elite controlling men of the history that have caused so much pain, that's not 1%. That's about 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. For the most part, most men are not and have never been oppressive, horrible, toxic. They love that term now, toxic masculinity. They're not toxic men. Throughout history, there have been really good men. But with this latest movement, now all of a sudden terms like toxic masculinity, believe all women. We've enabled and enacted laws that let men walk into family court, and it doesn't matter if they're good men, it doesn't matter if they're loving fathers, it doesn't mean anything if they have good character, it doesn't mean anything about the real content of their soul. What matters is that they're a man, and in the eyes of the law and popular opinion now and social cowards, all the woman has to do is make an accusation. And if you think that men can't lose their children, their finances, their homes, their reputations, even their freedom, if you think men can't be put in jail on just the false allegations of a woman, you don't live in reality. So that's the modern culture that we have. Now, in the middle of this, in walks somebody like Andrew the douchebag Tate, who honestly looks like he's wearing a douchebag starter kit. He's got the shaved head, the sunglasses, even though he's indoors, smoking on a cigar, with the douchebag facial hair and his shirt open and the big tattoos. And he sounds and acts like what in the 80s would have been cast as the obvious villain. But he's doing something that's important. He's standing up for men. And now you have millions of guys, young, old, and in between, who look at him, and a lot of good men look at him and say, what a douchebag. But he's still saying a lot of truth. And he's saying truth that needs to be heard. Because what are young men supposed to think about themselves? For the first time in this nation's history, now if you're born, just by virtue of the fact that you're born a man, if you're even allowed to say that anymore, that just means you're worthy of being condemned. That means that there's something toxic about you just by virtue of the fact that you exist. What's a young man supposed to do with that? He's told to make sure that you always listen, that you always adapt, that you're always being thoughtful, that you're always staying adaptable. Hey, what does the woman need? What does she feel? What does she think? What can you be for her? The only problem is women aren't attracted to that kind of man. So we have a society raising good men to try to be, we have a society raising good boys to try to be what they think is a good man. The only problem with the version that we're raising, women aren't attracted to. Women aren't attracted to a man who looks to them and tells them how to act like a good man. My wife would not be attracted to me if every morning I woke up and I said, so what's your version of a good man today, sweetheart? How do I need to act? Who do I need to be? How are you feeling? What do I need to adapt to make sure that I'm the perfect person for you? Because gosh darn it, you're the center of my universe. It doesn't work. Women aren't attracted to that guy. Ask any woman. One of the major turnoffs is when a man just is so utterly lacking in any sense of purpose and has made her the center of his universe. It's one of the most powerful ways to turn off a woman. Overly pursue. But we're telling young men that's how you need to act. So into this world and culture we've created, where you can no longer be a good man, you have to choose between two things. Either a wimp, sissy, beta, simp that no woman's attracted to, or guess what? Guess who's the most attractive man out there now because of this idiotic culture that we live in? Now it's somebody like Andrew Tate. And yeah, he's a total douchebag. I don't like him at all. But he does say some important truths. And now you have an entire group of people, young men, some of them older, some of them middle-aged, but you have a whole group of men who are just trying to see, where do I fit in? How do I find value? And some douchebag like him steps on center stage and says, stop looking for your validation, stop looking for your purpose through the feelings and the emotions of a woman. Realize your own value, become your own man. Look at me, I have 20 supercars. Look at me, I have a private plane. Look at me, I've built this incredible life. And look at me, by the way, I'm surrounded by beautiful women and I can have my pick from them. Now put yourself in the place of like a 15-year-old boy who's been rejected and humiliated and told that he's toxic just by virtue of the fact that he's been born a boy. Now he has no value? What are his options? Who do you recommend that he listen to? Like, I have a son. One of the things I tell my son, hey, Andrew Tate makes some good points. As much as I hate to say that, he makes some good points. He's also a douchebag, and he treats women like property. And he acts like somehow that he's now this religious, godly man who somehow the center of his universe is materialistic things and talking about bagging women as if that's some kind of proof of value of the person he is. It's not. I don't care if you can bag 1,000 women. How do you treat the one woman you really love? Are you capable of loving a woman? Just one woman? Or do you have to have a whole litter of them? Do you have to have a harem to somehow give you validation? Because if you have to have a harem, then you're not a real man. I'm sorry, Andrew Tate. I know you're an impressive guy in a lot of ways. You also happen to be a douchebag. So all the people slamming on him, you're right. All the people slamming on him, you're wrong. And if you were quiet while men were having their rights taken away as fathers and as husbands, if you were quiet when these ridiculous comments and stances like believe all women, trust all women, masculine toxicity, if you were quiet when all that was happening, shut up. You're part of the problem. Stop telling yourself you're some kind of a social justice warrior who stands up for the rights of women and stands up for the social justice. You stand up for it when it works for you. When good men were being trampled, you said nothing. You're just as big a part of the problem as the guy in the 50s with a tank top that used to beat his wife. You're the same. The difference is the abuse that you're standing beside now isn't the physical abuse in the home behind closed doors. Your abuse now is standing with the judges and these idiotic marchers out there that just keep condemning men as a whole blanket group, watching them lose their kids, watching them lose their savings, their reputation, their freedom. A lot of them are even kind of involved in self-harm, if you get what I'm saying. In record numbers, men are doing that. Do you care about any of that? Because if you're not fighting for those men and you're only fighting for the rights of women, that doesn't make you in favor of equal social justice. That makes you a sexist. And you were part of the reason that created this entire landscape that made it possible for an obvious douchebag like Andrew Tate to step onto the scene. Congratulations. You helped create the world that you now say you hate.